Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I have so many windows open right now. Hold on. Let me hide some of them. Well, welcome. Hi. This session is called Why Does It Matter? Service to Community. My name is Maggie Myers. I'm a program coordinator of Girl Scouts of Southern Arizona, and I am so excited to speak to you all today. So a little bit about me. I just told you I'm the program coordinator at Girl Scouts of Southern Arizona. And so I recently have switched over from leadership and life skills over to our staff supported programming. So I work a lot with our older girls, middle school and high school age girls, around leadership skills, life skills, service. I oversee our highest awards program, which is like a service and leadership project that older girls do. I also have been coordinating our Girl Volunteer Corps, which is a group of older girls, and we go and do service every month based off of what the girls want to do. So that's really exciting, and I've been here for about 2 years, and I'm starting to transition into more of our staff supported programming, which is where we bring Girl Scouts to girls who maybe wouldn't traditionally be served by Girl Scouts. So girls in detention center, girls in foster care. We go to schools and serve girls in schools. So that's really exciting. And then Girl Scouts of Southern Arizona, we serve girls in Southern Arizona. So we have a little map here. And so you can see all the counties where we work. And we serve girls 5 to 17 or kindergarten through 12th grade. And I already told you, but middle school and high school is my jam. So I'm pretty stoked to be here with you all. I have my Zoom screen open, but if you all are in the Whova app, I have a poll in there. Can you all see the poll? What? Oh, you have answered it. Yeah, so one of the questions is, what grade are you in if you're a student? If you can tell me, or if you're an adult, there's an option for that too. But I would love to know who we have today. Interestingly, I can only see this. Oh, there we go. So I see many adults. Well, hi adults, welcome. And one student so far, welcome. I'm glad you all are here. Okay, hold on, let me switch back. So many screens open. Excellent. Well, I am excited to be here, and I see some familiar names, but I have my master's degree in public health, and I used to do substance use prevention in Marana. I coordinated a drug-free coalition. So when I heard about this opportunity for Casa Grande Youth Alliance, I was so excited because I went to a SAD meeting one time that you all did, and I was so inspired by it. So I'm stoked to be able to give back after you all inspired me a few years ago. So today we're going to do some introductions. We're going to talk about the benefits of service. We're going to talk about how to take action, and then some tips for volunteering. So I have some icebreaker questions. So in the chat, shout me out. What's your favorite thing to do on a Saturday? Mine would definitely have to be, oh yeah, sleep. Yeah, you all, yeah, good. That's a good point. Sleeping, I agree. Bob says swimming. That's a good one, especially now that it's getting hot. Yeah, sleeping. Something about the weekend and just being able to kind of like move at a slower pace and sip my coffee a little slower. I'm about that. Okay, and then my next question is, what do you want to do after high school? What's your dream job? Many of you, it looks like, are already out of high school, but what is your dream, I don't know, your dream job or your dream activity to do? What's your goal? Or what was your dream when you were in high school? Rachel says, dream life is living on my own. That's exciting, Rachel. It's a good one. Are you in high school, Rachel? No? Excellent. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that dream, Rachel. And then the next question is that if you had one wish and you could magically fix any community issue, what issue would you fix? And you can tell me why if you want, but you don't have to. If you could magically fix any community issue, what issue would you fix? I really like to see what folks answer for this. And then I like to think about the ramifications of like fixing one issue and then how fixing that one issue would like transcend into other issues. Okay. Yana says hunger. I love that one. Bob says shelter. I think I would agree that would probably be mine too, is homelessness and providing shelter for everyone. Rachel says racial inequities. That's a good one too. That would transcend a lot, like fixing that. I feel like that would transcend a lot of other community issues, like less violence, housing. There's a lot of issues around racism and housing. That would be a good one to fix. Dan says preventing substance abuse. That's a good one too. That would also transcend many different issues. Alex says homelessness. Agreed. And then more resources for school age kids. That's a good one too. Thanks for answering, everybody. So moving on. What community service have you done before? So feel free to shout it out in the chat. You can list as many things as you can think of, but, What community service have you done before? It can be recent, it can be from a long time ago, something that you did for school or for like a community group that you're in. Alex says she used to work with high school kids and we would take food to the unhoused. I like that. Would you like pack snack bags or pack lunches or raise funds to support shelters? Rachel says trash pickups. I love that one. At school or at the park or somewhere specific or just anywhere? Oh, the kids would spend their own money to buy McDonald's breakfast. That's so kind. Anywhere, I love it. Yeah, in Tucson, they do like trash pickups at the park and I don't know, the side of the road, you can adopt a highway. Awesome, thanks friends. Okay, and then the next question is, why do you serve your community? Why do you serve your community? Anything goes here. It could be something like you're trying to build your resume, you want to get more experience, you're passionate about a certain issue. Alex says, it feels so good to give back to the community. I agree. Anybody else? Well, we're going to be talking more about the benefits of serving the community. So right now we're going to talk about that. So there are so many benefits of serving the community. The first one that I want to talk about is connectedness. So looking at this from a substance use prevention angle, right? And talking about risk factors and protective factors, being connected to your community, being connected to your school if you're doing community service at school, being connected to your peers if you are going as a group to volunteer and you're working with kids your own age. Or connectedness to adults, right? If you're going with an adult to volunteer, or if there are adult staff members where you're going, making those connections, that's a huge protective factor. It's kind of like the opposite of isolation, right? And so that is a protective factor for substance use and other mental health disorders. Serving the community can improve our self-esteem. So it feels good to give back. It feels good to make a difference in the world. And it feels good. And a lot of times when we're volunteering or we're serving the community, if I'm going to pack food boxes, usually the food bank has a goal of how many food boxes that they need us to pack on a Saturday morning. And so they set that goal for us. And then it feels really good when you hit that goal to know that you've made a difference. And so it's just, it feels good. It's good for our self-esteem. There are benefits around mental health. There have actually been studies that found that folks who volunteer have better improved mental health than folks who do not. And so it's about that connection, right? And feeling like you're important and you have something to give the community. And, when you're going to volunteer, you're getting out of your shell or out of your house to be with others. And so you're kind of getting that connectedness and away from that isolation. Benefiting this community, serving the community can increase our empathy, and we're going to watch a little video about that in a minute. And then, of course, as a Girl Scout, I have to say, serving the community makes the world a better place. So we are going to watch a short video, Brene Brown on empathy. If you haven't seen it, it's so good.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Excellent. So I love, especially when she talks, I love the whole thing, but I think especially at the beginning when she talks about like being a judgment-free zone and seeing it from other people's perspectives. Volunteering and serving the community helps us gain some of those perspectives and sort of see outside of our little bubble and different things. So that's on empathy. And I super love that video. Yeah. And then talking about some other benefits of serving the community that are a little more like resume-y, right? So community service and volunteering is a great resume builder, especially as like a high school student. If you don't have work experience to put on a resume, having volunteer experience to put on your resume is a great alternative, right? Where you would list your work experience, you can list that volunteer experience that you have. Additionally, a lot of times when you're serving the community, you are gaining skills that you can reference in a resume or in a job application. Thinking about like if you're going and you're helping with an after school program and you're doing you learning classroom management and you're learning how to interact with youth and you're learning public speaking skills, and you're learning how to plan and facilitate programs, you're learning about evaluation. Those are all skills that you can draw on when you're writing a resume and when you're like in a job interview or another volunteer interview or something like that, right? Volunteering also is a great opportunity for networking. That's a great benefit that comes from it. Whether it's from your peers that you're volunteering with or community organizations and adults that you're networking with, it's just, if you've ever heard the phrase, like, it's all in who you know, right? Like, volunteering is a great way to meet people in the community that share similar passions. And that way, when you're looking for a job or you need a location for your conference or something, right? Like, you can go in those contacts that you've made through volunteering to network, to continue to serve the community or find what you're looking for. And then volunteering is great for college applications. It's great to list, but also like on those essay questions that they have for scholarships or college applications, drawing on your experiences from volunteer work can be very beneficial. And whether, talking directly about the work that you've done or how it impacted you or how volunteering as a teenager has affected the path that you want to go on with college, those are all great things to talk about. And so I think that there are a lot of great benefits to volunteering in terms of thinking about your future. I have another video for you to watch. This is Teen Volunteers on Volunteering.
Volunteering is committing acts of kindness within your community. It can be anything from building a house to even cleaning a park. Within the last 20 years or so, youth volunteerism has gained a lot of traction, with some high schools even making it a graduation requirement.
When you volunteer, it builds character and it gives you a sense of pride. It gives young people opportunities that they might not have otherwise had a chance to experience. It creates a good example for other youth who might want to volunteer. It gives young people the ability to broaden their horizons and be more empathetic to others. Volunteering gives young people the opportunity to experience different places and environments.
Oftentimes, the effects of youth volunteering stay with us throughout our lives. We become more open people who are willing to work hard to change situations around us that might not be ideal. And they really affect the quality of life of those who you're working with. And in a world that's becoming increasingly transactional in nature, it's really refreshing to see people, especially young people, take time out of their days to help others without the promise of compensation. It really awakens the humanitarian within us all.
Yeah, so I love that video. I love hearing them talk about how impactful that it is. And even as an adult, I look back fondly on those times that I was volunteering at different organizations in high school or in college, and how meaningful that those experiences were in shaping where I am now, working at Girl Scouts and working in public health and prevention, and just really how meaningful that time was for me. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we serve the community. And so in Girl Scouts, we kind of talk about it in two different ways. We talk about community service, and then we talk about take action. And we differentiate because we have a program for older girls that's called Highest Awards, where girls can do like a service leadership project and earn their highest award. And so we differentiate the two. So I'm going to explain the difference, and then it'll probably click for you like what's different about them. But community service is something that's usually short term. You're addressing an immediate need and you're joining an existing effort as a volunteer usually. So like packing food boxes at the food bank or picking up trash in the park, right? Those are great community service projects. Take action projects are more sustainable and long-term. And it's when you're addressing the root cause of an issue and you're coming up with your own unique initiative to address the issue or to address the root cause. And it's really your project. And then a big one that we talk about is when you're taking action, you're doing your project with the community. Whereas if you're going to do community service, it's usually something that you're doing for the community. So I have a little video here talking about Girl Scouts taking action and some of the things that Girl Scouts have done.
Problems are everywhere, ever growing, affecting everyone. Some might get bogged down, stressed out, and overwhelmed, but these girls, they are Gold Award Girl Scouts, and they take action now.
I am a Gold Award Girl Scout.
I am proud to be a Girl Scout.
I'm a Gold Award Girl Scout.
6,000 Gold Award Girl Scouts a year are creating real change, tackling society's grand challenges, one issue at a time.
For my Gold Award project, I founded the Girls First Junior program, which is to get middle school girls interested in math and science.
I created documentary films, a playlist, a website, and a curriculum on the topics of child marriage, human trafficking, and gender inequity.
Note to Self was about empowering girls to learn about themselves emotionally and take care of themselves emotionally.
I created a nonprofit called Junior Ocean Guardians, and through that I also created a challenge called No Straw November.
I love being a Girl Scout because it transformed me from a shy girl to a vocal STEM advocate.
It really helps us channel our passions into actual action.
I wouldn't be who I am without Girl Scouts today.
One girl can change the world. These girls have changed the world. Together, Gold Award Girl Scouts are tackling society's grand challenges, creating change today for a better tomorrow.
Can one girl change the world? One girl can totally change the world, but a whole bunch of girls can change the universe.
That video gives me goosebumps every single time I watch it. So love the idea of these girls tackling the issues. Everyone tackling issues, but especially girls. Okay, so we are going to talk about the steps to take action. So these are the steps that we guide the girls on when they want to take action to earn their silver or gold award. But these steps, I believe, are universal for anyone wanting to take action on an issue. So the first step is to choose an issue. And so really important to look around the community to see what needs to be changed. What is inspiring me? What do I feel passionate about? What do I see in my community? And when we talk about this with our Girl Scouts, we talk about all the different communities that we belong to, right? Your neighborhood community, your school community, your city community, or your state, maybe on a sports team, or like a religious community, right? There's so many different communities that we belong to. And so really taking a step back and looking around to assess the community. And so the first step that you can kind of do in your brain is to brainstorm a list of issues in your community that you feel passionate about changing. We kind of hit on it earlier when you told me your issue that you would want to magically change. I'm guessing that would probably be on your list. Mine would definitely be homelessness, hunger, and bullying in schools. Those are always my top three. If you feel inclined, I'd love to hear your top 3 issues that you feel passionate about changing in the chat. And also, while you all are brainstorming, I have a couple pictures here because really it could be anything, right? You can take action around pollution and the environment. You can take action around human rights issues or education or children's issues, or you can take action around like animal issues, right? So yeah, cool, thanks for sharing. So really anything, right? The sky's the limit. And Rachel says, racial inequities, human rights, gender equality, and climate change. Those are so powerful. Absolutely. Okay, so then step 2, oh, Yay, more coming in. Lex says shelter, animal protection, and hunger. Thanks for sharing those. Yeah, they are good. Okay, so then step 2 would be, once you narrow down and pick an issue, is to investigate. We want to investigate everything that we can about that community issue. So research online is a great option to find statistics and information about that community issue and what's happening, right? But also talking to the community is so valuable. Talk to the people that are being affected. Talk to people who are experts on that issue. So maybe this might look like having casual conversations. Maybe this looks like doing a survey. Maybe this looks like doing like interviews with like key stakeholders, or maybe this is like doing a focus group where you're getting a group of people together and you're sort of leading a session where you're answering questions and they're you know, giving you the answers and you're sort of taking notes to learn about the issue. Because ultimately what our goal is with this investigating is that we want to identify the root causes. And what that means is we want to know why that issue is happening. Why is there so much trash in the park? Why are people experiencing hunger? Why isn't there enough shelter, right? Why are these experiences happening? Why is there racial inequity? We want to identify those root causes. Why is that happening? Sometimes we have to say why a few times in order to get to an answer that we're looking for. And so we want to identify those root causes because that's what we want to address, right? So I have a little root cause analysis tree here. So let's say that a lot of car crashes happened around my high school, and I wanted to take action to address that. And so I want to do a campaign to reduce the number of car crashes that are happening by my high school. Well, if I just make posters that say, don't get in a car crash, that's not going to be very impactful, right? Like if I make posters and I make like do announcements, right? Like don't get in a car crash, that's not going to get me anywhere. But if I do some research and I find out that one of the reasons why so many car crashes is happening is because kids are texting and driving when they get out of school. Okay, now I can have a campaign about don't text and drive and the dangers of texting and driving. To change those behaviors, now I might get somewhere. So we want to do that research to find out why those issues are happening. And then addressing that root cause, addressing that people are texting and driving, then we'll be making some change. So you have to dig a little deep. The third step for a take action project is to build your team. So this is a great opportunity to practice some leadership skills. And so what you would want to do is build your team. Who do you want on your team to help you address gender equality, right? Who do you want your friends to come help you? Do you need to find some community organizations to help you? Who are stakeholders in the community that are going to be impacted by this issue? And who can help you understand it and want to work with you? And so building your team, right? So important. Of peers and adults. And what I will say is collaboration is so important. I'm guessing probably quite a few of you are maybe involved with the Casa Grande Youth Alliance, right? And so you understand the importance of how important community collaboration is, right? And having all those different sectors from the community come together to address the issue, because everyone has a little piece of the puzzle, right, that they can contribute in order to make a difference, right? And also, especially for youth, right, if you're taking this project on as a teen, collaborating with a community organization is a great way to get you some clout or some street credit, or right, like for people to take you seriously if you are partnered with a well-known community organization. Also, collaboration and having that community organization connected to your project is really helpful for the sustainability of your project, because You know, maybe this is something that you're really passionate about now, but you're about to graduate and this is like not something that's going to be long-term for you, right? But if you're partnering with a community organization, then they can keep this initiative going even beyond your time. So collaboration is just so, so important. The next step 4, is to create a plan. And so my volunteers that I work with would tell you to kind of think about it backwards. Envision what your final goal is, and then list out the steps that you need to get there, right? So if my end goal is to do a conference around climate change, right? To educate folks about climate change. Okay, think about my end result. What are the things, what are the steps that I have to get there for that conference? I have to find speakers. I need to reserve a space. I need to make a flyer. I need to advertise to the community, right? Like listing all those steps that you need in order to reach that end goal. When you're planning, it's super important that we make sure that our project is measurable. And so the reason we want it to be measurable is so that we can measure and know the impact that we're having on the community. So we want to think about things that we can count or things that we can measure. So the number of people that attended a workshop, the number of clicks that a video got on YouTube, maybe thinking about larger scale, right? Like if you're passionate about substance use prevention and you're able to access this, right? Like maybe like, did my project reduce the number of youth who were arrested for underage substance use? Or did it decrease the number of youth who were suspended from school? Any data that we can find to count or measure the impact that our project has. That way we can go back and say that our project, that it made a difference. But also, if you are collaborating with an organization and they have funders, their funders might need to know that data, right? Like what the impact has on the community. The other thing that we are looking for, that we talk about with a Take Action project, is to make your project sustainable. And so a lot of people think when we talk about this that we mean like a permanent structure, and really what we mean is like that it's long lasting. So for example, creating a permanent solution and making sure it's used. So if you wanted to create a community garden, that's fantastic. But we don't want to create this community garden and then you graduate from high school and your garden just like no one knows about it, you know, like it doesn't continue. And so we want to make sure that there are plans so that that community garden continues to get used for year after year. And that's why collaborating with a community organization can be so beneficial. Educating others to change their attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. So we have a lot of girls who do conferences and workshops and clubs and things like that to be able to educate others about something that they're passionate about to change their attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. And then of course, you know, remember, we have to have that measurable element to see that those changes are happening. Collaboration, making sure that that collaboration continues. So community partnerships are just so invaluable. Having a call to action with your project is a great way to make it sustainable too. And then of course, the ultimate sustainability is changing a rule, regulation, or a law. And really, you know, if you think about the history in public health with you know, major things that have happened, right? Like seatbelt laws, those are very beneficial and made a big difference. Schools requiring vaccinations, right? Like more kids get vaccinated. So changing policies is a great way to make a sustainable change. And then share your project plan with others and get feedback. That is such a valuable tool. And sharing it with peers is good, sharing it with adults is good, and sharing with the experts in the field, right? Your community partners that you're collaborating with, the folks who know the issue, so that they can really give you great suggestions and feedback on how best to address the issue and any little changes that can make your project even more meaningful. So then the step 5, once you have your plan and you have tweaked it based off of feedback, is to take action. It's to implement your project or implement your plan. Don't forget to measure the impact that you're having. Oh, surveys are another great way to measure the impact. So like doing before or after surveys, or surveying after to see how behaviors change, that's great. And then something that we always encourage our Girl Scouts to do is to educate and inspire others with their project. And so what that looks like is sharing what you're doing, right? I think that when youth are taking action on a community issue, that's amazing. And people need to know about that. People need to know when there is a young person taking action on an issue. And so sharing it with the local media, sharing it with your school newsletter, your school newspaper, sharing it on social media, getting the word out, and then and maybe inspiring other people, right? Like, we don't know what we don't know. And so unless you talk about it, other people aren't going to know, right? And so I was thinking about this in terms of, you know, when I was doing substance use prevention, is medicine safety, right? And like how important it is to lock up medication so that it isn't easily accessible for misuse and abuse. Well, that's like not something that you think about unless you're like a foster parent, or, you know, like you're aware of like medicine misuse. But it's so easy to talk about to spread the word, and how easy to just lock up your medication in a lockbox that you can order on Amazon, or put it in a locking toolbox. But you wouldn't know unless someone told you and talked about it. So just educating and inspiring others and talking about what you're doing and why it's important can be so beneficial, and inspire other people to also take action. I saw a question that was, what would you suggest putting on a survey? It really depends on what issue that you were tackling, but you could ask about knowledge gain. So like questions to see what folks learned from your session. You could ask about behavior change, or like intended behavior change. So, perfect. Okay. So if that maybe sounds familiar, because it is so similar to the strategic prevention framework that SAMHSA uses for prevention and substance use prevention. So super similar, right? You're starting with that community assessment. You're looking around to see what the issues are in the community, community readiness, things like that. Building that capacity by building your team, the financial resources, right? Making a plan, and then you're implementing and then evaluating, and the cycle can just continue. And always with sustainability and cultural competency at the center. And so we talked about sustainability. We didn't specifically talk about cultural competency, but to me that goes back to making sure that you're doing your project with the community and not just for the community, because we never want to make an assumption about what we think that people need, because sometimes what they need isn't what we think. So I would love to highlight some really excellent projects that we have seen at Girl Scouts for you all. Ooh, sorry, it's kind of loud over here. So this first one is a tree planting education that some middle school girls did. They planted about 40 trees in Tucson, but then they also created an educational video about how to plant trees in Tucson, because it is surprisingly like tricky, or there's steps for planting a tree. You can't just go and plant a tree. So they made this really cool educational video, and they partnered with a local organization called Tucson Clean and Beautiful to do it. And then because they have this community collaboration, right, Tucson Clean and Beautiful has their video on their website as a resource. So not only did these girls, they did some service by planting these trees, but they're taking action to educate other people in the community on how to plant trees so that other community members can be inspired and educated to take action. And their video's pretty cute. Middle schoolers. This one is a plastic straw campaign that some 4th and 5th graders did, where they wanted to reduce the number of single-use plastic straws. And so these girls decided that they wanted to do a spread awareness. And so they put together a table at like a school festival or carnival fair. And they had posters and they had reusable straws. And so they asked community members, they educated them about plastic straws and reusable straws. And they asked community members to take a 2-week pledge to go plastic straw free for 2 weeks. And their goal was for like 20 people to take their pledge. And they ended up getting like 75 people to take their pledge to go straw free for 2 weeks. And to me, it was just so inspiring that these girls who were 9 and 10 years old were coming up with this plan and had this call to action for people to try this for 2 weeks. Really, it's really smart because, you know, if you commit to doing it 2 weeks and then you see how, you know, maybe how easy it is, and then it's easy to keep going after that. So I was so impressed at their plan here and their outcome. And then this is another really great one. This is a Girl Scout who recently graduated, and she did 2 Take Action projects during her time. So the first thing that she did is that she wanted to get kids inspired to go outside and go hiking more and experience the outdoors. And so she actually wrote a book and got it published with like telling stories about kids hiking. And then I believe that it like has some hiking like suggestions, like where to go, and then tips for kids on how to have a good hike, which she did as a middle schooler, which I was blown away by. And then as a high school student, this young lady wrote a curriculum for a new 4-H project called Hunger Elimination Project. So to educate kids, because you know in 4-H, like kids can pick different projects to do for their 4-H project. And so she created a new project for them to pick around hunger, where kids would learn about hunger in their community, then based off of their age level could pick a project to implement in their community to help reduce hunger in their community. So she had it tiered by age group. So things like community garden, doing a food drive for the littles, and then creating like a food pantry. And so she had to get really, there were so many different levels of it, but the measurability of her project, we were really trying to be innovative for different ways that she could measure the impact that she had. Oh, but talk about sustainability. Like, okay, not only was she like, you know, she had examples, but like to get all these kids into, you know, eliminating hunger with their 4-H projects. And then once she got that curriculum approved, that's going to live on in her community until they, I don't know, change it. So I was so impressed by the sustainability of that. And talk about community collaboration, right? It's just that community collaboration is so vital. Okay. And then I have one more to share with you, and this is a National Gold Award Girl Scout from another community, and she did a project around addressing mental health, and I just think that what she did was so innovative, and I wanted to share it with you. Yeah, I love her project, and really all of these projects just showcase the wide variety of ways that you can implement these take action steps to address a community issue. So the next thing that I want to talk about is finding community service. And at the beginning, I told you that I coordinate Girl Volunteer Corps, which is a group of older girls, and we go and do community service every month. It's been a little different because of COVID, but pre-COVID, we were going somewhere different every month. And the girls are the ones that decide what types of service projects that we do, but we go somewhere different. And my experience from that is that sometimes it's really tricky to find community service opportunities as a youth. And so these are my tips for you based off of some things that I've learned. So the first thing to think about is, who do you want to work with, right? Some folks are really passionate about working with animals or working with kids or addressing a specific issue. And so think about, who do you want to work with? Of course, my first suggestion would be to look online, right? Google is a great resource, but sometimes there, because at least in Tucson, there are so many nonprofits in Tucson, and sometimes putting in search terms like volunteer opportunities in Tucson, like maybe that'll turn something up, but sometimes you're gonna have to dig a little more. So I usually search for organizations and then kind of click through their website to find volunteer opportunities. And then there's a website called volunteermatch.com that can be a resource for finding volunteer opportunities. And this can also be a resource for posting volunteer opportunities if you have like a one-time event or something where you need volunteers. But looking online is really good. But what I'll say is that also, like in Tucson, we have a lot of really small nonprofits where it's like maybe they're not online, or maybe they like don't have a very updated website, or it's just like a page and there's not really anything. So sometimes you have to call around to find opportunities. And so these two go together, but the age requirements. I know a lot of nonprofits, depending on what you're looking to do, have requirements around age, which makes it especially difficult if you're a younger youth. And so what I have learned is to always call and ask, because sometimes they have other opportunities available for younger students. Like I'm thinking like middle school, right? For middle schoolers, sometimes they have other opportunities. So for example, in Tucson, we have our Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona, and you can go there and you can pack food boxes. Well, you have to be 16 or older in order to do that. But they have a community food garden where you can go if you're, I don't know, it's like 12 or 13, and you can work in their community garden, which is also contributing to providing food to those in need in our community. And so that's a great alternative for us when we have younger kiddos that are interested in volunteering. If you have even younger kids, because I was asking, they had like family days. So once in a while, kids as young as like 8 or something could come with their families and volunteer and kind of get their hands dirty at the food bank to learn about it. So my suggestion around this is ask. You never know unless you ask. And sometimes they're able to work with you, or they can make a suggestion for another organization that you can reach out to. And that goes with ask around. There are, like I said, sometimes organizations, you know, they don't have a capacity to have like a website or like a social media person. And so there's a soup kitchen in town that they like have a website, but it's mostly like you have to call and talk to somebody. And so it like didn't pop up when I was searching. And so sometimes you just have to ask around. Also really cool opportunities if you ask and you're networking. I live in like Marana, which is like on the way out of Tucson up to y'all. And there is a pig sanctuary that is like in my not in my neighborhood, but like in my neck of the woods, that I did not even know existed until I was like at a nonprofit networking thing. And I learned that I was like in the community with this pig sanctuary. I actually learned there's quite a few animal sanctuaries in my area. So really network, ask around, put your feelers out if you're looking to volunteer, let people know that you're interested in what you're looking for. I think that talking to people and sharing is really beneficial and like unlocks a lot of great opportunities that maybe you wouldn't find on Google. Also, if you're a youth or like groups, sometimes it's easier sometimes to get in as a group if you're going to go volunteer somewhere. And so if you have like a group of friends or you're like a school group that's going to volunteer, sometimes it's easier to, it seems like it at least, it's easier to get in as a group. Or sometimes if you're a group, organizations will have special activities for you to do. Which leads me to my next tip, which is to be flexible. And so when we go, I always say it's always an adventure when we do our Girl Volunteer Corps because we go somewhere different every month. And you know, we're going for the experience and to learn and to help. And sometimes what people need help with is not necessarily what you're planning to do. So I have 2 examples of that. One time we were so excited to go to the diaper bank of Southern Arizona to pack diapers. People talked so highly of it. We were so excited to go. And everyone told us you go and you pack diapers, you just count, I don't know, it's like 10 or 12 diapers and you wrap them in saran wrap and you just like stand at these tables and you can just like chit chat and hang out and like do community service and it's really fun. Well, so that's what we went there expecting to do, but they had a fundraiser coming up and they heard the Girl Scouts were coming. And so they asked us to help make a diaper cake that represented the average diapering needs of a baby in the community. And so I'm not exaggerating, I don't know if you can see my hands, we made a diaper cake. Each layer was like as wide as like my whole arms with like 270 diapers. And it was like an engineering feat. And it was so unexpected. It ended up being really fun. It was the STEM challenge that we weren't expecting. But sometimes you just have to be flexible. And when you're doing service, at least for us, we're going there to help how we can, and that's how they needed help. And they were going to showcase it at a fundraiser that they had to inspire other people to take action and donate money. So it would have been really cool. But what an adventure. The other one I was going to say, we have gone before to the soup kitchen to help pack lunches. And you have to be flexible, right? And so sometimes you finish packing those lunches super fast and what they need help with next is cleaning up. And so, that wasn't our intention going in, but we're happy to help and be flexible. And so that's my suggestion, is be flexible. Also, keep in mind one-time events versus ongoing volunteer opportunities. So, sometimes the opportunities vary, whether you are interested in only going once or whether you're interested in making a commitment over a period of time. And so in my experience, this is particularly relevant around animals. I think a lot of youth are always excited to volunteer like at the animal shelter, like directly with the animals, but typically, maybe there's an age requirement, or you have to like go to an orientation or something. And so sometimes you just have to do your research. And so like for the animal shelter, they usually want ongoing volunteers. So it's hard for us to go for like a one-time thing. So just kind of being cognizant of what the time commitment is and whether, you're going to have to commit to something over time or not, and what you're interested in and what you're capable of giving of your time. Are there any questions so far that I can answer? I'm nearing the end, so I'm happy to answer any questions. I love this. Magic happens outside your comfort zone. And so applicable to take action. I work with girls who are taking action, and a lot of times it can be really uncomfortable to get out of your comfort zone, to call an organization or to network with somebody new or to build your team. And then when girls do, it's just such a powerful and fulfilling experience to step out of your comfort zone, try something new, and make a difference in the world. Also, with community service, I know, like Habitat for Humanity. I went there one time when I was in college, and it was so far out of my comfort zone, and I was not very helpful with them building their house. But talk about getting out of your comfort zone, and like I got to stand on the roof of the house, and I'll probably never do that again. But what magic, because I got out of my comfort zone. So what I would love to hear from you all is what's next for you? Do you have a dream service project that you want to take on, or do you have a issue that you feel really fired up to address? If anybody wants to share. Is everybody, I should have asked earlier, are most of you, Alex, I see a few of my colleagues on here from Tucson. Are the rest of you in like Pinal County or Pima County, Casa Grande, Tucson? Yeah, Casa Grande. If there are no other questions, this is my contact information. You're always welcome to reach out to me. There's my phone number and my email address. Thanks. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, so my contact information is here. Girl Scouts of Southern Arizona, we serve your area, like Pinal County, Casa Grande. So well, thanks everyone for coming. It was a good time. I hope that you feel inspired to volunteer and give back, or encourage youth in your life to give back. Thanks for coming.